Hello.
Can you, hi, Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom from I Got Soul. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you, Tom.
Thank you for taking some time out for this interview. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So, definitely want to get started talking a bit about the history. You guys just celebrated the 30th anniversary of your guys' debut in Vogue's debut, Born to Sing, and had a
Yes.
special 30th anniversary edition of it you released. Just reflect back on that album, what you remember about creating that masterpiece.
Oh, well, it was an exciting time for us because it was our first project together, and we would spend a lot of time with our producers, Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy, listening to music, talking about direction, kicking around, writing, ideas, kicking around writing ideas. Our producers invited us to co-write with them, which was, sort of unheard of, for an artist's first project. So that project, it was a reflection of all of us, six of us, the four girls and our two producers, just bringing together our life experiences and putting it into music, bringing together some social awareness topics that we all felt connected to, and putting them to music. But it was a very exciting time for us.
Awesome. Everyone knows you're an amazing vocalist, but can you tell us, your creative process, on that album and on the later albums, the work you put in the studio creating the music?
Well, we would have about 6 hour studio days, maybe 5 or 6 days a week. Really, it took us about 3 months to do the entire project, to be honest. So we would come together about 6 days a week. Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy they would be creating music tracks sort of in the process. And every time they had a track or a skeleton of the track, we would listen to it. They might have an idea on here's kind of the melody of how we want the hook. We're thinking about this subject. What do you think about that? Can you each write a verse, or can you write the verse you're going to sing, or let's just write the whole song together? So it was a lot of writing together, a lot of listening to tracks. Sometimes we would record stuff that after we heard it, we didn't think it would work, so we would throw it out and start again. It was a lot of fun though, and we were young and giddy, us girls, and so sometimes honestly we didn't get very far creating because we would just go into these laughing fits. Like somebody would just do something or say something funny or make a funny face, and then we would just lose our composure and we couldn't work after that. And Denny would be mad at us.
Oh.
He would send us home. He would send us home and say, come back tomorrow. Because we would just, after a few hours, we would just be so silly and lose it. But so it was a lot of fun. We had some really fun moments.
That's awesome. Undeniably a classic album, for your first one, which is awesome. But when you approach creating music on the next couple of projects, how did you, approach it? Because topping a classic album is not an easy thing to do. So did you feel pressure to go above and beyond? And you were able to, which is great.
Well, we felt, and our producers felt, like the most important thing is to just lay the foundation of start with the signature sound. First of all, we are all evolving people. And so just continue to do what we did in the first place, which is put into music our life experiences, things that matter to us, and just allow the evolution process of who we are to continue. But it was necessary to sit it all on the foundation that we established, which was the signature harmonies,
right,
the grooves, that Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy would come up with, and to make sure that each vocalist, we continue trading off singing lead. Like there was never, we set that standard where everybody in the group sang lead. Nobody became just the sole lead singer. So we tried to just continue with the formula, but just, an
right,
evolved formula. Yeah.
Awesome. I think it's great that you put out the 30th anniversary edition, gave us a chance to hear some unheard songs, some remixes that weren't heard as much, and it reminded us of how great of a project that was. And
Thank you.
this came a couple years after Electric Cafe, your guys' latest album, 2018.
Yes.
What do you remember about that project?
That project, gosh, that was a long project. It took us a long time to get that project done. And I want to say start to finish, probably at least a year and a half.
Mm.
And and it wasn't, and it was different this time too. This time we recorded it not in a studio, not in a recording booth. We recorded it at Denzel Foster's house, and he had now it was just a computer and a microphone set up with a little foam wall around it. But everything was done on his computer, and so it wasn't like we started in the beginning. It was the thick, really big tapes, and it was just all raw. But also in the writing process, we did a lot of writing, and again, it was our life stories and things that are relevant to us, but we overwrote.
Mm.
And when we thought we were done, after we decide no, we're not done. It still needs something, so we kept going back into out of what is that something? What is it? And so we just continued to write. So that was a much longer process for it. But I will say for us, but it was an easier process than in the beginning. Just because recording has evolved from what it used to be. I think it's digital now. It used to be analog, and so it's a lengthier but easier at the same time.
I saw someone in the comments mention the song Rocket, and now what's so special about that song, that became a hit single for you guys, it really showed that, you guys have had hits in so many different generations and so many different decades, which just shows the longevity of En Vogue and the legendary legacy of the group. So what did that mean for you to have that hit?
Oh, wow. It meant a lot to us because, this many years in the game, there's not a lot of artists that can continue doing what they love so many years. I mean, I would have never thought that, we started in our first single came out in 1990, and 2018, I would have never thought way back then that we would still be performing or recording. I just never would have thought it. And so, I guess I'm really happy that our fans jumped on board because, throughout the years, there have been a few different configurations of the brand En Vogue. And it just showed that we still had a pretty good fan base, and that they were willing to accept new music from us and to continue to be supportive.
Right.
And so it felt really good. It feels like a blessing, that we can continue doing what we love so many years later.
That's awesome. What was the journey like even getting to release that album? Because it had been so long between albums, I'm sure many R&B fans and lovers weren't sure if En Vogue was ever going to come with another project. So what was it like getting to that point?
Oh, it was really easy, really. I mean, we had been out touring and doing a lot of work, and we just decided, and fans had been asking us, when are you going to release a new project? And so after so many people continued to ask us that, we were like, yeah, we got to release another. Let's just do it. Yeah. And so then it was finding the right partnership, which was a little bit of a journey too, because, it's not, for us, signing to a major record label wasn't the way we wanted to go. And the whole record industry game has changed so much. So many artists are either doing it on their own labels and partnering with a distribution company. And so for us, it was like, okay, which distribution company? Because we definitely need to do it on our own label. Right. And so it was that aspect. And then it was also, okay, we got to, make sure there's money to promote it, right? And, see if we can get our distribution company to put money into a video. Because for us, we didn't want to just release a single without a visual, because in the past, I think one of the things that has been such a big help to music, to the sale of music, and to the way that it sits with a listener, with a fan, and lasts in their memories is the visual. So there's the visual and there's the music. And when you have those two, that's a winning combination. So to
Right.
release a single, we had to have a video.
Right.
And we, so there was that whole aspect of it. And so we found the director and the concept, and we found like we got the perfect partnership with the video as well. So it was distribution, music, video. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, obviously, In Vogue has been through a couple of lineup changes over the years and things like that. What is the challenge like of staying together as a group and keeping that gel? Because as you guys grow up and grow apart, how do you keep it together?
Well, I think first we have to, Terry and I are the two original founding members, and so the first thing for us is to be united in what is the vision. What is the vision? Not just short term, but what's the long term vision? And are we willing to, if one member decides to leave or another member decides to leave, because you grow up, you evolve, and your individual vision for your life can change. And so when that happens, for us, it's like, how are we going to keep the brand moving? Are we willing to incorporate a new member or two if that's necessary? Mm-hmm. And so for us, it was necessary. We've got a fan base out there that loves In Vogue. Obviously, our two former members have their own very big fan base, but we've got a fan base just for Terry and I that they wanted the group to continue on. They didn't want the group to totally break up and fall apart. And so they were willing to accept new members in. So the first thing is that we have to have, a short-term and a long-term vision and goal, and just sort of stay on that same page. And the other thing for Terry and I, and I'll say Rona Bennett, who is our current member, we all still love what we do. We love performing. We love engaging with our fans. We love writing and creating new music. And so I think that as long as we still have a passion for it, and somebody wants to come out and see us perform, or somebody wants to see it, hear new music from us, we're willing to do that. It's a labor of love, and that's really it. It's just knowing that we want to continue moving the brand forward, growing the brand, and just keeping ourselves out there to perform and engage with our fans.
Love it. So happy you guys are keeping the brand alive and keeping it moving. And on
Thank
that
you.
note, what can we expect going forward? I know we're in crazy times right now, but what does In Vogue have planned in the future?
Well, short term, this is our 30th anniversary. So initially we had tours planned, but of course that just started evaporating. So we don't really know what the future of touring is right now, unfortunately. So what we've been doing is just connecting and taking advantage of the internet and social media platforms and connecting with our fans through the internet. And so we have launched the Funky Divas podcast, which is available on all podcast platforms. And it's also, you can see the visual on YouTube. So we've been doing that. And that's really just sitting down and sharing our journey with our fans. And sometimes the story within the story that you may not always have heard in interviews. And we'll have Frank Gatson, the current new podcast is with Frank Gatson, longtime choreographer and visionaire. Yeah. And our producers, Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy, people that have worked with us since the beginning, like our fabulous publicist, Sheila Eldridge. And you may hear from people like Sylvia Rohn, who was the head of our record label and who signed us. So there's a lot of little stories, and we also will answer some questions that fans are throwing at us. And then one of the other things that we are doing, as you mentioned, it is the re-release of our Born to Sing album on Rhino Records. So that's something that we are sharing. And then another thing that we're doing is we are doing something called the Hold On Together initiative. And that's just, in these times, we realize that there are so many people who are feeling down and depressed and lonely because there's no real physical social interaction. I mean, there's a lot of people that live with a lot of family members, but there are a lot of people that are alone. There are a lot of elderly people and family members who aren't getting any visits. And so we are encouraging our fans to share your hold on story, your hold on videos, hold on together. And so it could be you on the phone or FaceTiming with grandma, or just showing that you're calling a friend or a close relative, but really it's about staying engaged and just letting everybody know we're all in this together. So let's reach out and reach out to those people, especially that are alone, and hashtag it and post your videos and show us how you're holding on with us, holding on together. And we also posted in our podcast a at-home hold on performance of each of us performing live hold on, and we had it all edited together.
Nice.
And so that's something too, but really it's just about keeping ourselves engaged and keeping our fans engaged with us, and until we can get past this.
Awesome. I love that you're doing all that stuff. That's great. And
Thank you.
just one last question. I know we're almost out of time, but could you just reflect on the original story of how In Vogue was formed? I love hearing about how you guys originally came together. I think it's a really unique story compared to other groups. Can you reflect on that?
Yes. So our producers, I'm going to call them Denny and Tommy because you already know who they are. They had a deal with Atlantic Records to form a girl group, and so they had a cattle call, and initially they wanted a 3-girl group because that was it's kind of the common number, 3. And so Terry Ellis and I had a mutual friend. Now she's in college in Texas in her last year, and this friend told both of us about the audition. So I lived in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, so I went on the day of the audition. The day I was there, it was me, Maxine, Dawn, Terry, and another young lady, and Terry flew in later, by the way. She missed her flight, was delayed, and so we got there in the morning. She didn't get there until the afternoon. So for the other 4 of us young ladies, minus Terry, Tommy and Denny had a song that they had already written, and they already had the track recorded, and they wanted us to learn that song on the spot. Go in there and you get 1 shot to sing lead. So each of us went in there and did our best to sing lead. We laid some background vocals, and then later Terry got there, and so I took her out to my car and went over the song with her really quickly, and then she went into the recording studio and did her thing. And then after that, later we all added more background harmonies, and then that was it. And it was probably, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, everybody went home, and we got the call from Denzel Foster and Thomas McElroy that we made it into the group, and they decided to keep 4 of us instead of 3 because they really liked our vocal harmonies and chemistry, but they also liked the personality chemistry. Like they really liked how our personalities gelled, and they felt like they all had the look. So that was it. They called us and told us, you made it into the group. And, we were just over the moon. I personally, I didn't think I was going to get into the group, honestly, because when I heard Max and Dawn and Terry go in and do their thing, I was like, there's no way I'm getting in this group. Because they were so soulful and so good, just right on the spot. And I just felt like, no, I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised to have made it.
Love that story. Thank you for sharing that. So we're just about out of time. Before we get out of here, anything you would like to say?
I just want to say thank you to all of our fans for supporting us this many years, and that you continue to support us. And hey, if you're interested, check out the Born to Sing remix album, and check out our podcast on all podcast platforms and or on In Vogue Funky Divas channel on YouTube. And thanks for supporting us. Thank you, Tom, for supporting us as well.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for your time, Cindy.
God bless
We appreciate you.
And we'll get past this.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Glad In Vogue is still here, and
Thank you.
always happy to support. Take care, Cindy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Bye, everybody.